Everybody, welcome back to part two. In part one, I showed you guys how to replace the power steering pump, and now we're going to attempt the power steering high pressure line. We already have the two 10mm bolts disconnected here. The reason for replacement is this hose. This is a pressure line, so fluid was leaking from these two crimps right here. Now in order to remove this hose, we have three 10mm bolts. One's located right here. Two are located down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the one up here. Got that one out. Now I'm gonna take my long extension with a swivel 10mm 1/4" socket on the end. That way I don't have to bend down there to reach it. Get that on there. The last one is a little bit harder to get to because it's behind a metal heat shield. So let's see. Okay. Did it come out with it? Nope. But I am going to use this handy dandy magnet. So up next is going to be the line where it connects to the power steering rack and pinion. I got a little bit of a longer wrench so I can break this loose. Alright, so now I'm going to remove it the rest of the way by hand. Pull out the line. Alright, so now that we have the line separated from the power steering rack, we want to go ahead and remove the power steering pressure switch, which is located right here. Let's go ahead and do that. Now that that is disconnected, we can go ahead and fish the line out through the underside of the engine mount. Okay, so we had a little bit of a hard time fishing that line out, so we're under the vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and remove this heat shield. Three 10mm bolts. I pre-loosened them already. That's two. The third one is hiding up under here. Okay, now that we got those off, we can go ahead and pull this heat shield out. Once we get that heat shield out the way, this is the line that needs replacement. You want to pull it forward, and then now we are just going to fish it out from the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go back to the top. Okay. So now we are just going to fish the line out the rest of the way. Take them out. Now that we got these lines out, I'm going to go ahead and swap over the power steering pressure sensor onto the new line. There is an O-ring on here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one with my pick. And then I have one that I already lubricated. I'm gonna put this back on there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and screw this down onto the new line. Now I'm going to go ahead and snug down the sensor, hold this one, it's time to put this guy back in the car. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and snake this back under the engine mount. I'm gonna get it started there, and then I'd have to go back under the vehicle. Okay, so we got it under the mount. Before we start mounting it to the frame or anything like that, we want to get the line started on the rack and pinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that from the driver's side top. Now that we got that line hand tightened, we don't want to tighten it all the way down yet. We want to have some movement because we still have to put the clamps on the line, and then we also want to make room for this side just in case we have to make any adjustments. All right, next I got the hose mounts started. Nothing is tightened down yet because I want to make sure everything lines up. So here we are. This is the hose. I'm going to connect it to the power steering pump. But first, let me get a new O-ring. All right, here's my new O-ring, pre-lubricated in Honda power steering fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and get this in there. All right, I got 2 bolts here. Get that started by hand, and I'm gonna finish it off with the ratchet. Okay, so now I took the bracket off of the old line, put it on the new line. I'm gonna start by tightening this down. Before I move on to the mounts back there, I want to tighten the line connected to the power steering rack, so I'll go ahead and do that next. Now I'm back under here. I just replaced the heat shield. Now I want to tighten down the 3 bolts. 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna go ahead and use my gear wrench here. Alright, now we're gonna reinstall a serpentine belt. If you guys forgot the routing or if your belt completely fell off, I'll put a diagram for the belt. Now it's time to refill the power steering fluid. I'm using my flashlight to see how much fluid I have in there. I am way below the low level, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up. Use my funnel. Real important, guys, if you guys are Honda vehicles, they have to be Honda power steering fluid. After we got our fluid topped off, we have to bleed the power steering system, so this is what you're going to do. With the wheels off the ground, we're going to cycle the wheels about 20 times, left to right. I'm going to do that now. after cycling the wheels, you want to start the vehicle up. You also want to keep turning the wheels with the wheels off the ground with the car running. If it doesn't make any noise, you blend all the air out of the system. A lot of times it makes a loud whining noise. If it's still whining, you have air in the system. By the sound of this, everything seems to be okay. So we'll go ahead and give the fluid a final check. Let's go ahead and look at our fluid level. Our fluid level seems to be at the full line, which is good. No signs of bubbles present, so our system is okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cap back on there. All right, everybody, so today I've shown you guys how to replace a power steering pump, power steering high pressure line, and also how to bleed the power steering system. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.